That's it.
Got it?
Yuppp! Fucking sea swimmer. Fucking cameraman. Bollocks. Not making a cunt of it. Fucking cameraman, me bollocks. Oh, for fuck's sake.
Stick the sea swimmer.
Stick the sea swimmer this way. There we go. Right.
Sure you're right.
Fucking, that's game ball. That's game ball. Anyway, I'll just double check it now, but it's game ball. What a view. What a view. I'll check that again. This is fucking professionalism.
Ah, I'm telling you.
No worries at all. Yeah.
Well, I'm going to tell you something here. It's the best view on any fucking podcast I've done.
It is. Isn't
Usually in a fucking room with no windows. Like, there's people spending $2 million to buy gaffs out here to have that view, and we're in the car park at the Sands Hotel looking at the Irish Sea.
And before I start, I'd like to take our sponsors, On Gorilla Coffee out Malahide, who made us pay for the fucking coffees. Yuppp.
Yuppp.
No, it's Whopper. It's Whopper. It's a Whopper view. Nice old dip this morning.
Yeah, first time I've been in all year, I suppose, yeah. But really, really bleeding enjoyed it. I was kind of hoping when I was talking to you on the way in that...
Just
that
move over there a bit when you move over there.
I was kind of hoping that when I spoke to you on the way in that you were in already, but you weren't, you know.
Yeah.
So, no, it was nice. I didn't put my head underneath, but I got my shoulders underneath. It was cold. Yeah, very cold, but very revitalising for the spirit and the soul, you know. When I always to be out doing stuff like that, I think of the people that can't actually do it, like,
yeah.
You know, and I don't mean to fucking put the mill down in the first 2 minutes, but you know, people that are in hospices and people that are in hospitals that are fucking on their last legs, and
Yeah.
all the shouldas, wouldas and couldas. I should have swam in the sea, and I should have done this and I should have done that, and just don't get the opportunity.
Yeah.
You know, so yeah, it's great to be able to do it, and hopefully it's the beginning of something. Probably I'll definitely come back out again and do it again. But I think sometimes a little less is a little more, and I just think you need to get in for a few minutes.
Yeah, no, a couple of minutes. Yeah.
You know, and rather than let the rigor mortis set in and get out and be bleeding, shaking for the whole day. Like, do you know what I mean? Yeah, because it was mad when I got out. I was thinking, I'm going to be really cold and that, but I wasn't. It was real fresh, like, you know. Yeah.
So I suppose introduction.
Yeah.
Willie
Willie,
comedian,
actor, father, brother, grandfather. All that, comedian, actor, grandfather, father. I was gonna say brother, but I'm not, because my sister passed away. My only sibling, she passed away about 10 years ago. So I was a brother for a while, yeah. That's basically what I done, I suppose. But with the way all this shit is going on with the world at the moment, a lot of stuff, especially in the arts, I'd just like to say, have been so badly affected by this whole thing. And I think out of everyone in the world, they have got the raw deal.
Yeah.
In this country, and the government. Come here, look, the government have done fuck all for anybody. But I mean, like, fellas that, and I'm not only talking about performing artists like myself. I'm talking about people like that work in the venues, like from lighting people, from sound, stage managers, sound, to the woman that cleans the place, the woman that works in the bar, the fella that walks on the door. All this stuff that was generating a little bit of income for people, that was just snatched completely away from them, like. And they are are the people that I really feel for, and I just think it's going to take so long for it to get back up on its feet again. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's madness, like, and even artists at a bigger level, like, you know, the likes of bleeding, I don't know, like, you know, John Bishop and, you know, Jason Bourne, that would have had festivals and stuff all booked in.
Yeah.
You know, the financial income has just been ripped out from underneath them, like, and they've just had to be creative in other ways and try to look at other ways of doing gigs. I've done a couple of Zoom gigs. They're not for me, man. They really aren't. Look, a Zoom gig for me is like trying to have sex without a fucking partner. It doesn't work, like, do you know what I mean? I've gone into an all-you-can-eat buffet and been told, listen, you can't eat that now. Do you know what I mean? I just don't like that idea of standing in front of a camera and trying to tell jokes that, you know, get a big laugh and not getting that back, like, you know.
It's hard. I've done a bit of Zoom stuff myself, and I'm not great with technology, as you're seeing there 4 minutes ago. But I don't feel it, you know what I mean, via Zoom, you know. Now there's other guys that are bleeding killing it in that form. You just mentioned one of them. Shout out to Jason Bourne. Yeah. He's bleeding murdering it. Jay is like we were talking about him earlier on, your ultimate MMA scrapper. No matter where you want to go, he'll be good everywhere. You know, and Jay actually introduced me to you about 7 years ago. About 7 years ago, he introduced me to you.
He did.
Shout out to Jay.
Shout out to Jay, yeah, that's why I'm here. I kind of call Jay the comedy chameleon, because he'll just blend in anywhere at all. And I mean, if, in my opinion, and I'm not just blowing smoke up his arse because he'd be a good friend of mine, is that he is the hardest working comic on this earth. Genuinely, I have seen him do stuff, and I've witnessed him in places performing that you just couldn't make comedy out of stuff that he's doing. And I mean, even the jokes and the jacks that he's doing at the moment. And it's not only that, he's doing a thing once a week, checking in with people. I mean, how many other comedians do you see getting on a social media platform and asking other people how they are? Do you know what I mean? Like, just to check in at the end of the week. How's your mental health? Do you know what I mean? How's things going? Like, and even the Mind Your Loaf podcast that you done as well, which I was fortunate enough to get on. It's just do you know what? It's like everything in life, and I always say this, like, everyone likes to fucking take, but there's not an awful lot of people want to give out back. Do you know what I mean? For fuck's sake, man, empty your pockets and give something to someone. Do you know what I mean? There's an awful lot more giving than there is in getting.
He's a great fella. He told me a few years ago, I asked him a bit of advice. It was I'd always try and better myself by doing mad stuff, you know what I mean? And we're going to go into your story now. I'm just going to finish this. But I remember he said, I was doing this comedy crash course weekend, right? And because of the fear of public speaking. I was just out of fear of public speaking. So he goes, you're doing that. And I was ringing him every night after we did whatever, you know. I was just running stuff by him. So the night came, it was the Spirit Store in Dundalk. I know, well, I've given it a great venue. The night came for me to do me bleeding 8 minutes. The sound man's a Dublin fella up there, lovely bloke. And so I rang Jay and I was fucking absolutely browning myself. Shit, Jesus, what if they don't? And so I was that paranoid that I told no one I was doing it. Yeah. I just wanted to go. So Jay goes to me, right, yeah, that sounds good, blah, blah, blah. He goes, wear the suit. I said, what do you mean, wear the suit? He goes, wear the suit. Have you got a dicky boat? I was like, no, I haven't got a dicky boat. He says, wear the suit and wear the dicky boat. So what the fuck is this going on? I'm a suit. Bit of authority, people look at you and listen to you. So literally, right, I walk to the venue, browning myself, shitting myself. Few people, the audience are filing in and all. And I overhear this bloke saying, at least there's a proper fella in the house, so we listen to all these fucking idiots first, and there's a proper comedian here. I was just like, how experienced is that Jason Bourne to say something like that? And the first cunt I walked through the door goes, at least there's a proper comedian here tonight.
Yeah. I mean, it just goes to show you.
Mad, isn't it?
Yeah, because you know what it is? It's I think it's the suit and it stamps down a bit of bleeding. It stamps down like a little bit of authority that you're someone important.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Rather than the fella that rocks up with a Lacoste t-shirt or a North Face t-shirt, they're kind of going, sure, these are 10 for a penny, like, you know?
Yeah.
It's like when you put a suit on, people listen to you, don't they? Do you know what I mean?
It's a mad one.
No, but he is. He's a great fella. He doesn't get the credit that he deserves. He's been all over the world, and he's just a man of experience, and at the same time, he's a young boy at heart. Like he's very funny.
He's a funny,
and he's great to hang out with, and he just it's that feel good factor. I've never once come away from being with Jason and thought, oh, for fuck's sake, do you know what I mean? He makes you feel good. Do you know what I mean?
And even like he'll always add something, no matter what it's running, or he'll always add something to you to think about, to try and get better with. You know what I mean? No matter what you're doing, like, you know, be it your business, or he sees the reason why he's so good, like, and the reason why I get on well with him is he sees things differently than the rest, and that's what separates him. I'll see something and you'll see something and I'll see what you'll see, and he comes in and he'll just see it differently, and then when he explains what he's saying, you kind of go, how the fuck didn't I see that? You know, that's just the way he is, you know.
And just kind of last but not least, everyone is on a level playing field with him. Like, I've been in his company, I have met, I don't mean to be bleeding throwing names on the floor of your van, like, but I have met like some amazing people by being with Jason over in Edinburgh, because he's renowned in Edinburgh, but he takes time out for everybody, like, you know. It's not like you're not up here and you're down there. Everyone's on the one playing field, like, and he's just a nice fella. He's, you know, I'm sure when he goes back after this, the amount of stuff that he's written, and I mean, even me and my missus was talking about this morning that Irish government's gobshite. Come here, even though as funny as it is, it's fucking very, very true. Like.
Yeah, it's true.
Do you know what I mean? I mean, the government...
The comedians are the only ones making fucking sense.
The government... come here. The government... like, they wouldn't run... The Irish government at the moment are a laughing stock outside the world, and they wouldn't run a bat.
No.
Come here, let's call a spade, like. You know, we can all sit here and... I'm not big on politics or anything like that, but... Look, I know that when all this shit happened, they should have closed down everything and just let medical supplies and food into the country. And we would have been way out at this point now. But look at money and everyone's difference of opinion. I mean, look at leave them to it.
Leave them to it. Let's keep it positive.
Yeah.
So, Willie, about yourself. I've had some amount of ballymunners on this fucking podcast. I suppose like everyone has a story, haven't they, really? They don't emigrate, they invest and just come fucking in droves, you know what I mean? Yeah. Which is, they're all kill cunts. Not one of them. Here. Every one of them is a kill cunt.
Yeah, come here, we I'm kind
and some sense of community. I love the way in Ballymun, there's some sense of community in Ballymun, amongst Ballymunners.
But amongst the madness as well.
100%.
Yeah.
They're not trying to go, they're not like the people in, you know, RTE come out, Jesus, that shooting is terrible and all. You ever see anywhere it is, nothing like that ever happens around here.
Well, wouldn't it be great to get a news story that just goes into rough areas and gives good news?
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? To take the whole... Because it's like anywhere in the media, like be it RTE, you know, Virgin Media, anywhere like that, they want to tell you the bad shit about the bad places, and they want to keep it contained in that area. Come here, I'm sure there's loads of bad stuff going on in Portmarnock and bad stuff going on in Houghton. I'm not, but I mean, and it's like what we talked about earlier in the van, it's a class thing, like, you know, and it's like, Ballymun's a kip and all that. Come here, it's only the small minority of people that give Ballymun a bad name. Like. There is really good people in Ballymun. There's a good sense of community. Come here, there is people that are struggling up there. We go in there every now and again. My mate has has a shop up there, Super Value. Big up to Nan in Super Value.
Yeah.
Who was
Robert.
Robert,
Yeah,
who
yeah.
was a pillar of the community, and I have to say, he would be a great fella to come on the podcast.
Yeah, Robert, yeah.
He's got an amazing story from a fella that came from a little shop van on Ball Butcher Lane to doing what he's doing, and he's put so much back into the community, a community that he loves so much and has done so much for him, because, you know, even though he's put into the community, it's the people of that community that have him where he is today.
Yeah.
And that's a great thing to have. And he's into sailing, and he's probably the only sailor, I'd say, from Ballymun, like, do you know what I mean? He's into doing a bit of sailing, and we've got a group called the Ballymun Explorers, and there's loads of us in it. Just ordinary people. It's not a closed shop. I mean, if you wanted to go, we put your name into the group. We meet up every now and again. We've done Snowdon, we've done Ben Nevis, we've done a load of different peaks, and we just meet up early in the morning of a Friday morning. We head off for a weekend to a nice hostel, have a bit of crack, have a bit of food, and do a bit of walking and do a bit of hiking. And there's nothing, you don't have to be of any fitness level to do it. Do you know what I mean? You just turn up, you give you a few quid for your food and your hostel, which isn't an awful lot of money, and you just meet people, and we just bleeding. We're just all there to help one another and bleeding. You know, it's great. Like, so yeah, I'm from that area, and I know Robert and his brother Mick since I'm a kid. I grew up in I was originally born on the south side. I was born in the Kiln.
Right, same as yourself.
Yeah, I was born in the Kiln on the 17th of June 1971, and I lived in Hardles Cross, Mount Talent Avenue, for a short period of time. Then I moved into Crampton Buildings. Do you know where Crampton Buildings is?
I do,
Little tenements.
Yeah.
So I lived in Temple Bar. Then I moved from Temple Bar to Ballymun to Shangan Avenue, 15 Shangan Avenue. My sister Susan she had asthma at the time, and she wasn't really settling into the flat. My ma says that there was a ghost in the flat.
Right.
The person that lived there beforehand had passed away there, and she used to hear them in the nights. And I'm not saying she didn't. My ma's not mad, but we moved back out of that flat, back into Temple Bar at the Crampton Buildings.
Yeah.
And then we moved back out to Ballymun again into number 16, which was next door. We were in the 4 stories.
Yeah.
So there was no lifts in air blocks. There was just bleeding flights of stairs, which wasn't great when I moved ahead in life and bleeding got into BMXing, because you had to carry your bike up and down the stairs, or if your dad was there, he'd carry you up and down, you know.
Yeah.
And my childhood, it wasn't a normal childhood, so to speak. My family was very dysfunctional, even though when people looked at my family on the outside, they thought that everything was all right, like, do you know what I mean? But it's mad. It's like that saying, you don't know what goes on behind closed doors, like, you know. And my father, God be good to him, was really a house devil and a street angel, like, so to speak. That would be the nicest way, to put it. So my childhood was traumatic. And I suffer with a lot of trauma from my childhood. My father would have been very violent towards my mother, and there was a lot of stuff going on in the home. And I took solace with my sister. My sister kind of was my shield. She was 6 years my senior, and I looked for bleeding, you know, for shelter in her and for guidance in her. So we were very, very close, and it kind of evolved very, very quickly. And then by the time I was 15, I was using drugs from a very, very early age, like, you know. And then after that, it just kind of carried through, and I felt great when I took drugs. It was like I was like the Ready Brek kid, you know, that ad in the Ready Brek where he had that glow all around him. Like, it was like that glow all around me was like that shield that nobody could hurt me, and I was invincible. And all my problems were just gone away, like, you know, because the drugs suppressed everything for me. It pushed everything down that I was dealing with as a kid. And then at about 15, my mother and father split up. And in school, I wasn't great. I was just, I felt school was kind of an escape for me, really, and I was kind of the fucking jester in school, and I was a bit of a laugh, and that made me suffer in school, because I left school with no education. I done my inter when I was 15, and I got nothing in it. And I know, really, and I'm not sitting here blaming me mum and dad, but if things had been a bit easier at home, you know, I probably would have thrived in school, but I didn't. you know, and I suffered, and I left school with no qualifications, and my dad worked for Aircom at the time, which was Telecom Erin. He had a good job, and he's always saying to me, you know, if you bleed and get your exams, I'll get you in there, and this, that, and the other. But it's not really interested in me dad. Me and me dad kind of, I grew up with a hatred, but yet a fear for me dad, because I seen what my father was capable of on the violent side with me mother, and with me as well. Like me and my sister suffered at my dad's hands, like many a time. And I'm not sitting here like, you know, running me dad into the ground and that like that. Me dad later on in life, me and me dad had an amazing relationship. But I mean, I always was very, even before he passed away. Like even I was bigger than me dad when he passed away. Me dad was kind of an old frail man.
Yeah.
But I just kind of got that respect and love and understanding through sorting my own shit out in life and going through my own stuff and looking at his, that I kind of, not that I pitied him or anything like that, I didn't, but I understood when I looked back into where he came from, that, you know, he done the best that he could, like, realistically. So yeah, I at 15 I left school, and at 16 I was living in London. I went to live in London, like, you know. And there was a load of lads over there, and I just wanted to get away and everything, and I'd have been smoking hash and drinking and, you know, doing whatever at the bleeding time, and London was great. Landed in London, lived in Manor House up beside Finsbury Park, and I just felt that I had that sense of freedom, that I wasn't bogged down with any of this worrying about me ma or worrying about me dad or that like that. It was like, I'm a man now, do you know what I mean? Which I was far from it.
Yeah.
And London, worked in a butcher's in London, saved me time in a butcher's with a fella who was from Dublin, actually, from Capra, funny enough, from Hanlon's Corner. There's a little butcher's there called Fardley's right on Hanlon's Corner. I don't know whether you know it.
Right.
Well, there was a guy there called Matt Fardley, and they used to have the rights to the cattle market years ago.
Right.
And a lovely man, and he took me under his wing in London and looked after me. He lived in Enfield, and he was into race horses. He was an ex-gambler, so he got out of the gambling and he bought race horses, and he'd start riding them. He turned out to be a jockey, and they were a different bloodline. They were Arabian race horses. So I used to go out and ride out with him because I was into horses, and he just really looked after me, you know. And he was great when I was in London. And then I ended up in a hospital in London. I ended up in a psychiatric hospital through drug psychosis, through taking drugs. I was in the hospital for about 7 months.
Yeah.
And he used to come up and see me, and I was just really unwell.
Yeah.
And could never see, it's mad, I could never see that drugs was the bleeding problem in my life like that, if I just put down the drugs and that. And then I came back to Dublin.
But you went to prison in London as well? Were you in prison?
Yeah, I was in prison the last time before I come home. Yeah, it was initially the last time before I come home. But I just found when I went to London, any time with a drug problem, I always ended up in trouble, like, all the time, like, you know. And that time I come home and I was very, very unwell, and I was on a lot of medication, and my sister took me home. My dad was living on his own at the time, and when I was in London, my ma went to live in London, and my ma stayed in London.
Right.
When I was in hospital, so she was in London for about 20 years.
Right.
So I was kind of always back and forward to London. I always had family. Like, there was 16 in my dad's family, like, and 10 of them went to London. Out of a whole lot of them. Yeah. Like, my dad, as I said, touched on earlier, when I looked back into my dad's life and the way my dad was reared, and I don't mind saying this, and anyone in my family would agree with me, my granddad was a monster, and that'd be the nicest way of probably talking about the man. The stuff that went on in my dad's home when he was a kid, and not just his home, but it was kind of rife in them areas. My dad's from the Liberties in Dublin. He's from a little flat complex called Audience House there, right opposite the Brazenhead pub.
Yes.
That's where my dad's from.
Right.
And there was 16 of them in a 2-bedroom flat. Funny, my dad used to say, he said, we were that poor, he says, if you didn't wake up on Christmas morning with an erection, you'd fuck all to play with, like, you know. Which is very, very funny when you think about it.
Yeah.
But he came from fuck all. And I spoke to me, you know, later on in the years, and I spoke to his family and that, like, my Uncle Tommy, who I was only talking to last week, was 85 and still in London, and you'd never think, you know, he's there since 1952, and he was telling me that he only seen fucking toilet roll when he moved to London, like, and I found that very bleeding sad. Like, he says, you don't realise, he said, we literally, He says, when you hear that saying, he says, we were piss poor. He said, we'd fuck all, like, you know.
Yeah.
And my granddad was a drinker and all that. So, yeah, it kind of all evolved from that. And then me using just kind of progressed. I got me back on my feet after getting back to my sister, detoxed me off all the psychiatric drugs that I was on. And I was on a lot of drugs. And then I done the same thing again. And I usually get my hand burned twice before I kind of give up. Then I ended up in Dundrum. Mental institution. Went on my head again, which is a really fucking dark place to be. I was in the basement down in Dundrum, and I was under this illusion every morning when I heard banging that people that they were shooting the patients, and I used to think when I was going up to the showers that they were going to walk in and bleed and clip me, like, you know. It was fucking hell, man. Probably the quickest showers I ever had in my life. You just want them to be But that's just where my head was from the drugs. Like, then I ended up in Vincent's on the Richmond Road. Tried to keep it real, do the last one on the north side, like, you know. And that was a mad fucking place, really. So it's mad. I've been in 3 psychiatric hospitals. I said to me mate, I should do a play in a thing in Edinburgh. I should call it psychiatric, you know, because of the 3 of them. But yeah, my drug use then just after that kind of evolved in me in you know, when I was about 19 or 20, and I just got caught up in taking heroin and didn't read the small print, but kind of knew the dangers of what went on with it, and then everything just kind of fucking went with that, and it was a horror scene. Me life just kind of got turned upside down. I got caught in the deep end of stuff, and you know, I never set out my life to be, you know, I mean, the places where drugs brought me in, and the places where heroin in particular and crack at the end of my use over in London, like, ran me into the fucking ground, like. I always said I'd never use intravenously. That didn't last long. I used intravenously. I used me feet, me fucking groin, me neck. Smashed myself basically into the ground. And homeless on the streets over here. Lived in hostels in London. At the end of me using in London, when I went on the run, just before I got extradited home, I was living in a car. Right. Me and my partner, and I wouldn't even say that was me rock bottom. Like, I don't think my rock bottoms were ever stuff that was going on in my life. I think that was stuff that was going on in my head. Do you know what I mean? Mentally, I'd rock bottoms worse than what was actually going on. Physically, if you can understand that, like, around me, like, you know. So that was just the thing, and I got nicked. I got took out of a pub by the police one day, and there was an extradition warrant there for me, and I'm not sitting here, you know, I'm not John Gilligan or none of that, and I'm not trying to glamorise criminality or anything like that. I was a brutal criminal, and I was very unsuccessful at crime, and that's why I went to prison all the time.
I was talking to somebody there a while ago, and they said crime doesn't pay. Crime doesn't pay, and I was like, explain it. This wasn't on a podcast or anything. And he said, for instance, right, 100 grand, 12 years. Yeah. I got 12 years. Break that 12 years down to that 100 grand. Because crime doesn't pay.
Yeah, it's very, very, very true.
Crime doesn't pay.
You see, 4 lads
minimum wage somewhere, I'd be fucking.
And that's dead right, because I always do the maths like that in my head. And when I look at the likes of, I read that book there a while ago, The Monk. And when I looked at the lads that were involved in the stuff that they were doing at that level, who I'm not glamorising by any stretch of the imagination, or I'm not telling people to do what they done, but they, in my opinion, were masters of what they were doing. I mean, Gerard Hutch was a criminal mastermind. In what, I mean, when you look at that Brinks robbery, just taking one of them off, for instance, what they done and how they done that, and in the time that they done it, and when you look at all the lads that were involved in it, right, none of them went out selling drugs, right? They all set their families up. They got little businesses. One fella in particular who I knew personally never flaunted his wealth. He used to go away to America once a year for 4 or 5 weeks, and he used to live like a king over there. That was enough for him. He'd come back then, he'd stick his tracksuit on, he'd walk around the inner city, and no one knew nothing what he was. But he was a lovely fella, you know. And none of them got caught up in selling smack or anything like that. And I'm not saying, you know, that doesn't make them do what they were doing. What they were doing was very heavy, and there could have been people killed and there could have been casualties, but they done the right thing with the money instead of pumping it back in and killing the people in the community, you know.
Yeah.
So I was just a very unsuccessful drug addict, and I ended up getting extradited home, and I got 5.5 years in Mountjoy prison, and I was a shell of a man coming home. I remember going into Heathrow police station before I got on the plane. I was there the night before, and if you remember, Donna Summer had caused murder in Heathrow Airport. Do you remember that a good few years ago?
Yeah.
She was in the... Yeah, man goes, you're in Donna Summer's cell. And I was like, I feel so important. Yeah. So, it was like that, and I thought it was the end of my life. Like, I remember sitting there, and I still have the jeans at home. I have a pair of Her Majesty's prison jeans, they're 28 waist, right? Yeah. And I had a leather jacket, and I had a bag with HMP prisons on it, and I was sitting in the station before I went out to get the plane, with 2 coppers from Santry Police Station waiting for me, and I fucking felt so low. I was like, and I was clean going home for the first time in years. I was actually completely drug free, and I remember getting onto the plane, and I remember the copper saying to me, Chris Elliott, his name is, he's actually working in the airport now, and I was a thorn in his side for years. And I remember him saying to me once, he says, you've got to be lucky all the time. He says, we've got to be lucky just once, you know. And I walked up the stairs of the plane and felt so humiliated with this bag, big fucking bag with HMP prisons. All the people in the plane are looking out at me. And he said to me when I got up the top of the plane, he says, this is the day that I'm lucky. He says, and I knew exactly what he meant. And I sat on the plane, and he says, do you want a drink? Right? And I was like, what? He says, do you want a drink? I says, yeah, I'll have a bottle of Budweiser. And I sat there drinking a bottle of Budweiser, thinking to myself, is this what my fucking life is amounting to, like? So I got to 5.5 years. With a review after 3.5 years, I went back into Mountjoy prison, and after a few weeks I just picked up to where I left off, and I was using again. I was using after people, and I was using after people that had hepatitis C, and I was using after people that had the HIV virus, and I didn't give a fuck. Like, my life was just on the ground. But somewhere along the line, a couple of years later, I said I need to sort my shit out, and I started going to these bleeding meetings that was on in the prison, and I just kind of turned me way around to kind of think that there was a different bleeding way out, you know, this anonymous program, and I looked to get out of the prison, and with about 9 months left, I went over and I done a detox in the detox unit. And it's mad because I was with 10 lads in the detox unit, and out of the 10 lads that were there, 6 of them are dead. And the other 3 aren't clean. I was the only one that got clean out of them. And I got out, and I just started going to these meetings, and I started getting my life back together, and I moved in with my sister in Ballymun in the box room next door to Sparky. Do you know Sparky?
Yeah.
Sparky lived next door to me. Me and Sparky still remain good mates. Yeah. And I was really, really frightened. I hadn't been to Dublin, even though I'd been locked up in Mountjoy. I hadn't been back on the streets in a long time, because I'd been on the run in London for a couple of years, which was probably bleeding me saving grace, really, when I think about it. So people hadn't seen me for years, like, do you know what I mean? And I got out, and I just started bleeding. I started doing my thing, and I started getting involved with the fellowship that I was in, and my life just got a little bit bleeding better, like, you know. And in me kind of recovery, I made amends to people for stuff that I'd done, and I started trying to build back bridges with people, and just trying to make myself a better version of who I was before I left, because I'd done a lot of bad things in Ballymun, and hurt a lot of people and upset a lot of people, and I needed to right the wrongs that I'd done, like, you know. It's mad, I actually got barred from Ballymun. I had to go back up to the corporation, as they were known then, which is Dublin City Council, and just say, listen, I really need a place to stay in, and my sister's willing to put me up, and I kind of put it on them a little bit and said, she's jeopardising my recovery. I'm very vulnerable here, and they let me do that. So after all that, then bleeding, years kind of went by. Me missus that was with had a baby, with a baby girl, and I started going back to work. I was on a day programme for a while, and then I went work scaffolding. I was scaffolding in London with a crowd over there, and started working for a firm. First job was actually in Crow Park, and life just started to happen, like, do you know what I mean? Things started. I remember one morning sitting in my sister's flat, after being watching her on there used to be a programme called My Kind of People by a man Tim Gorman. What's his name? He used to wear a big hat.
Yes.
Do you know the fella I'm on
It
about?
was like queuing for a living.
That's the name. That was the name of the
Queuing for a
programme.
living,
That's exactly what my sister was on that.
Yeah.
And he were talking about me, right? And I was sitting there watching it. Paddy O'Gorman.
Paddy O'Gorman, yeah.
Queuing for a living. And he said to my sister, have you any family? And my sister says, yeah, I have a brother. And she says, where is he? I always get kind of bleeding upset when I'm talking about this. She said, he's in London, he's on the run, he's a drug addict. And he's done this on me and he's done that on me. And he says to her, why don't you bleed and just get rid of him? And, she says, I can't. She says, I love him,
Yeah.
And it really, really touched me. And I remember sitting there after watching it that morning. It was early in the morning. I was sitting in Ballymun when the flats was there in Shangan, 43 Shangan Road. And I was looking out the window, watching the bleeding morning coming alive and people going to walk and all that. And I just got bleeding really emotional, I was doing a day programme at the time and I was going, I'm going to do something with myself. I'm going to make something out of my life, So that's what the journey has kind of been like. And come here, like the last bleeding 20 years of my life, since all that stuff has happened and since I've sorted myself out, my addiction and done a bit of work, I'm still a work in progress, I'm not fixed by any stretch of the bleeding imagination. It's still an ongoing thing, and I go up and I try to do the right thing and I try not to hurt anybody and I try to help someone. Most days I try, like what I thought about at the beginning, I find there's an awful lot more in giving than there is in getting. I'm all right where I am at the moment, and if I can help someone along the way and pull them up onto the raft, do you know what I mean, and get them out of bleeding, out of rough waters, so be it, and it's been a mixed emotions of highs and fucking lows, John. I've had some great times, and even before I started doing the comedy and that, all the stuff I've tried, from going to learn how to play squash and picking up a guitar and trying to play guitar. I still have a guitar, I'm shit at playing it, but I can play a few chords. But I'm saying, what I'm trying to say is that the world was my oyster and I was open to do anything that I wanted to do. There was no limitations on saying, oh, you can't do that, or you can't do that,
But you see what you're talking about. Say we go back to queuing for a living.
Yeah.
That was your early version of Inside the K.
Exactly.
So no one ever queued in Foxrock.
No.
No one ever queued for anything in Blackrock.
No.
So if you look at what happened in the Beacon Hotel with them vaccines, none of them were queuing. None of them were waiting. So that was RTE's early to middle class and to upper class and to all the people that watch RTE going, you see them queuing up, they're the scumbags.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
He went to dole offices. Now, I don't know if he set out with that, but that's just... So RTE could clearly identify and make people like my parents in there, after moving out working class to a middle class area and middle class to upper class, going, okay, so we know who the scumbags are now.
Yeah.
Again, class, splitting classes.
Yeah, class distinction, isn't it?
And so we need to know who the scumbags are so we don't end up like them.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
But it's like what we talked about this morning. I was saying, got on the way up for the coffee, is that this, global pandemic, so to speak, has been a great leveler for classes.
Yeah.
The people that are out in the Vico Bats out in Dorky, and the people that are out, at the back of Burrow Beach and Hout, and the people that are down in Portmarnock here today out swimming are all down for the one reason.
Yes.
It doesn't matter how much is in your wallet, in your sports bag, or how much is on his gold MasterCard.
Doesn't matter.
We're all there to look after ourselves, to say hello to each other, and to integrate with each other, and for people that are corrupt their own holes to actually see, look, we're actually good people.
And then on the other side of that coin is, as I was saying to you earlier on, if you're in Ballymun and if you're in Finglas and you're stuck in that mentality of, I'm not leaving me council estate, I'm smoking green, I'm stuck to the couch playing me bleeding PlayStation all day, and I'm not going to, it's their fault because my life is shit. You're the same, you know what I mean? You need to get out, read a few books, hit the gym, improve, get bleeding, build a website for €99, sell something legal. Get out of that fucking system. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Don't let them cunts hold you down. Break out.
Yeah.
Get to the beach. Do different stuff.
Look, there's more to life than just the area you live in.
Yeah.
You know, like people think, you know, and like I'm from Ballymun. I know there's people from Ballymun have never been outside of Ireland. Like,
Yeah.
you know, they just it's like what we talked about as well earlier on. It's been in your comfort zone and been comfortable what you're comfortable in.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Is when you go outside of that, you kind of get, you know, a bit anxious and a little bit kind of overwhelmed and go, oh, I don't like it here, like, you know. It's like me this morning when I came to the sea with you. I was kind of going, I don't like, and even yourself, I said, I don't want to get in the sea, like.
Yeah, yeah.
Do you know what I mean? I don't know whether it was my ego that kind of got me in, but I was listening to your man David Goggins and reading his book. Actually, at the minute, I do a bit of reading, you know, and he was saying that he does the stuff that he doesn't want to do, like, you know, and that, you know, when he was in the Navy SEALs 3 times he done Hell Week, and that he wants to get comfortable in the uncomfortableness, like, even when he's sitting there with all them lads on that beach and it's freezing and the waves are hitting them and they're there for hours upon hours and they're trying to get broke down and their spirit is battered, like, that he tries to get comfortable in that with the sand all underneath him and chafing him and all that. You know, it's like that saying I heard years ago, the spirit is actually stronger than flesh, like. Like, if you can push by that mental thing in your head and go, do you know what, this is just a feeling, this is going to be over with. Do you know what I mean? And it's like, it's kind of when I fast forward a little bit into my life, when in 2010 my sister, who always kind of looked after me, you know, when she was dying, like, in the hospice down in St. Francis in Raheny, like, her pain was never going to be over. She had a pain that was going to kill her, like. Do you know what I mean? And I remember her saying to me, for all the help that my sister gave me in life, I remember her saying to me down there, help me, like, you know. And I had that whole feeling of powerlessness, not being able to help this woman, my sister, who I loved, who a few weeks beforehand I was in the matter because her feet were dry, putting moisturising on her feet and washing her feet for her. That feeling of intimacy with my own sibling that I'll never bleed and have again. But I know that no matter what I do in life, and I've done loads of stuff since then. I've done the Gale Force West 3 times. I was a lot bigger than I am now at the moment. At the moment I'm fat, I've put on a bit of weight, and I'm acknowledging that. I'm not going to dress up and go, you know, I've put on a few pounds. I haven't, I've got fat, like. So once I can acknowledge that and know there's a problem, I then put in the action and I go and do something about it. I'm not going to do anything about it by sitting down eating donuts and going, oh, I'm fat, because that's just going to make me more fat. But what I'm saying is that my sister was asking me to help her, and I couldn't fucking help her with the pain that she has. But I know that even getting in the sea this morning, getting into that uncomfortable zone, that the land ain't that far away, and I can turn around, I can walk back out and get me dry clothes on, and the pain is just gone, like, you know. So I just try to do me bleeding best, even with me dad. Like, when me dad died in 2016 as well, and I cultivated a great relationship with him in recovery and had this understanding. I find that getting the understanding and getting to understand where my dad came from and accept what happened, and to learn to love him as he was, and just even the morning that he died, like on the 11th of March, on the Friday morning, I remember staying in the hospice with him for a few nights and just saying it to him and reassuring him. He knew he was dying, like, you know. I said, look, I'm just letting you know, I'm going to be here with you, like, you're not going to be on your own, like. And just seeing that look in his face, that reassurance that someone's going to be there with him. And I remember on the Friday morning, the cancer kind of went into his brain on the Wednesday, and he started kind of talking bleeding gobbledygook, and then he kind of went under them from the medication. And then, you know, then the closure's coming when he goes into a private room, like, and you hear that death rattle, and I'm lying there and I can't really even sleep because I can hear him. The thing that's really keeping me awake is that I'm afraid not to hear him breathing, because then I know he's gone, like. But on the Friday morning when the staff come in, the woman says to me, Willie, because look, the people that work in these places, I cannot fucking express how much that these people are fucking, they're cut from a different cloth altogether. Right, realistically, the humane way and the dignity that your family die with in these places. And I always love hearing people saying, oh, they're lovely places, and I always go, yeah, they are, until you're in there your fucking self. Do you know what I mean? And I found that even through me dad, and going back onto me dad and my sister when they were dying, especially my sister, I got a moment of clarity where I kind of says to myself, it's much more difficult for my sister dying because my sister's losing everybody. We're just losing one person. I'm losing my sister, but my sister's losing her 2 sons. She's losing, you know, her brother, her mother, her father. She's losing everybody. And when when I went up for food on that Friday morning, I was sitting up in the canteen. My mate's 2 sisters walked up in the hospice in Haddles Cross, and I was having a bit of breakfast, and one of the doctors ran up and he says to me, "You better come back down." He says, "Your dad's taking a bit of a bleeding turn," like, and just leaving, you know, what I had and going back down and seeing him kind of turning and knowing he's gone, like, you know, and just being able to hold him and fucking comfort him, and just tell him that I bleeding loved him, you know, and know that he wasn't on his bleeding own, like, you know, and that even though there was no one else there, I was kind of glad in a way that there was nobody else there, that I got to share that fucking moment of, you know, being there with me dad when he was bleeding, bowing out and gone for the last time. And for all his difficulties and all his, you know, as much as I can say, you know, what he done was wrong when he was a younger man and all that, he taught me the really important things in fucking life, you know. He taught me to have manners and respect for other people and help the elderly and help people that were less fortunate than I was, and what it was to get out and do a day's fucking graft, an honest day's graft, and bring home a few bob. You know, and he always, even my ma said it to me, you know, she said, "You know what, as much as a fault as your father was and whatever it was, he always come home every week and gave me few bob. Like, I always had me keep, and we always had food in the fridge, and we always had clothes." So as much as you can look at the mad side of him, there was also that really good side to him as well. And I just bleeding, you know, I miss him so much, I really do, like, you know. But my dad used to always look at people and go, "He's doing great, he doesn't bleed and drink and he doesn't smoke and he has his own house and all that," you know. And he was kind of intrigued by that, because in a way he was caught up in his addiction with his drink, and he smoked and he bleeding, you know. And I have become that man that me dad always kind of looked up to. Do you know what I mean, that fella? And come here, John, I said to you on the way up, material things don't fucking cut it for me. I need to be all right in here to be okay with myself. Come here, I think it's like Janet Jackson fucking sung it, like, the best things in life are free, man. Like, I mean, there's a view, you know, we're sitting here in the bleeding car park at the Sands Hotel. As I said to you, this is the best view I've ever had in any podcast I've done. The ocean is there, we can go down there now, put our shorts on, get in. There's no money to get into the sea, there's nothing. The car parking is free. Do you know what I mean? And the most expensive thing about this morning has been the coffee. Do you know what I mean? But that's what it's about for me. Like, you know, it's life is it's thrown some fucking really bad curveballs, but I just strive to be a better person than I am. Like, you know, I'm a work in progress. It's mad because I'll touch on the play. Like, obviously a lot of people know me from doing comedy, and that's a whole different thing.
I wanted to ask you about that play. The Gorilla Suit.
Yeah, well, the Gorilla Suit. The play basically is called The Examination, and it was meant to be a one-man play, so it was meant to be me on my own doing this play with 2 really amazing guys called Phelan Cannon and another guy called Gary Keegan, who are the 2 lads that run a production company called Broken Talkers. Right, now these guys, I know for a fact you would be really into the stuff that they do, because none of it is fabricated and none of it it's all real stuff. So they done a play called The Blue Boy, and it was about the Undertaker and Letterfrack from years ago when the Yuppers used to die in the industrial schools. Then he done another play, he done a play about his brother who passed away when he was a young fella with his ma. And the stuff is just real kind of touching and real whatever. So they set about doing this piece called The Examination, and they were in doing research with a professor called Dr. Catherine Cox, who was a lovely woman who was involved in this project. And there was other, like the university in Winchester in England was involved, and there was you know, all these people had backed this piece to be done from these lads, and they went in and they spoke to prisoners that were doing life in Mountjoy over 15 months about what it was like mentally, physically, you know, and how they were treated, and the mental state that you're in prisons, and the welfare of prisoners and all that. So then eventually they got to the music teacher in the training unit, who was a guy called Jerry Hendricks, who was a lovely man. And Jerry Hendricks has played with the likes of Don Baker and all these big he's played with these great stories. He went away to Abu Dhabi with Linda Martin and all, just a really gifted guitarist. But his sister used to go out with one of the guys out in Miami show band that was killed up the north. Yeah. So he started playing the guitar from that because your man was a guitar player and left him a guitar. And so they says to him, Jerry, I'm going to ask you something. He says, if you were to think of anyone to do this fucking play off the top of your head through all the years you've been in here, he says, who would you reckon would be the man for this part? And he said, the lad says, he just come out straight off the bat. He goes, you want to get Willie White to do this part, he says. He says, he's the fella to do this. He says, he's got an amazing story. He says, he's a lovely fella. He says, he's a great singer. We done an album for the Barrettstown gang for all the kids while we were in prison and done a video and all that. Me and my mate Paddy Scanlon, God rest him, he's only dead there a few weeks ago. Paddy was a great bloke, was in there. He'd have been a great fella to get on the Bleeding podcast. He was in there. The Foreign Legion and that.
Right.
Yeah, right. So he was in Rwanda and all that, right? He was a mad joke. And what a fucking man, a legend of a fella. And addiction, he got caught up with a lot of stuff and he ended up getting pulled into a house in Finglas and he was dead the next day, but an amazing fella. So I done a video with him, but going back to Jerry, so they says, right, so your man contacted me, Phelan contacted me on Twitter. How you doing? He says, Phelan thing. He says, would you be interested in coming in and having a talk? So I went in and had a talk with him, and I thought the play would be written and all that, but it wasn't. So basically what it was me giving my extracts of stuff that happened to me through my life, psychiatric hospitals, prisons, addiction, and with what they'd learned inside from lifers and that, and they amalgamated it all together. But it wasn't working with me on its own, so they got Gary to stand in. So then it turned from a one-piece play to a two-man play. Yeah. So the way it turned out, which was mad, because Gary had been a victim of crime in London. Yeah. When he lived in London, so he was the ex-victim of crime, and I was the ex-criminal, giving my story, and he was giving his story and kind of playing devil's advocate. And it was just to give people an understanding. And you're talking about where the gorilla suit comes from. Because I'm wearing a gorilla suit for fucking 90% of the play. Yeah. The gorilla suit comes from that people think that we're animals in prison. That's all they are. They're fucking animals and they deserve what they get, like, you know. Where it's kind of the show that we're not animals, like. You know, when you get these people ringing up Joe Duffy, I'm not slating Joe Duffy, I actually like the Joe Duffy show, they listen to it. You know, kind of, Joe, it's a fucking holiday camp, like, you know. And then a part in the play where I kind of go, what holiday camp do you know that locks you up at 7:30 in the fucking night and let your loved ones come up and see you for an hour a week and has you pissing in a pot, like? So is that the type of holidays you're going on, like, you know? So that's why the gorilla outfit was there.
And we only have to look then at the re-offending, saying it doesn't work.
No.
You know, it doesn't work.
No.
Whereas if you look at models like Norway and stuff to see what they're doing. Yeah. So and I would have been like, you know, and my ma and my dad would have been brought up with that fuck away the key, them,
and that's all
because
right.
you get caught up in that. But then when you say this fella's granddad was in prison, his dad was in prison, and now he's in prison. What the fuck is going on here?
Yeah, but it's mad in that sense what you talked about, because none of my family had been in prison. I'm not even going to say a victim. I was just in the wrong circumstances and ran with the wrong crowd. And it's like I do say to young fellas today. I do always say to young fellas, you don't have to run with the fucking crowd. I said, the bloke that gets noticed more is the fella that's running on the outside of the pack, rather than the fella that's running in with the pack. I said, be your own man. I suppose it's like that joke. It's like the fella that comes home with a bleeding tattoo on his forehead of individual, and his dad says to him, what the fuck did you get that done for? And he went, well, all my mates have it. Do you know what I mean? It's like I just kind of got caught up in shit like that. And so the play was a fucking amazing play. Not only because I was in it, and I'm not just saying that. Look, I brought mates of mine to see the play, and after it, like, they were fucking unconsolable. Like, they couldn't. They were crying their eyes out. They were going, Jesus, I never knew. Because even when I was doing the rehearsals and that, my partner that I'm with at the moment now, Linda, I read no lines with her, I read nothing. I says, listen, it's going to be a bit of a fucking, it's a bit close to the bone. Me ma wanted to go, I couldn't bring me ma. It had brought up too much stuff for me ma. And when me missus came to see it for the first time, she was like, fucking hell, because it's heavy, like, it really, really is. And it was at a very fucking dark time in my life that I was done, and I had to go and get a bit of therapy after it. I kind of felt to myself, I'm all right, but I wasn't all right. It's like you meet fellas walking down the road, you know, in Cabra where you're from, you go, what's the story, Chalky? And he's going, everything is sound like. I mean, like, realistically, a lot of people that you say all right, they're not all right.
No.
It's just it's just a natural reaction. Everything is good. There could be a lot of shit going on. So I went and I done a little bit of work on myself after that, and then we went to Edinburgh. We took the play to Edinburgh for a couple of weeks. We done great stuff over there. Like, great people came to see it. Tommy Tiernan come down. Me and Tommy would be fairly friendly, and he come down and he was like, fucking hell, he says to me after it. He says, Jesus, what a powerful play. Because I class Tommy as a really good actor. He said, fucking hell, man. He says, you done it so well. But I kind of found it very easy in a sense to do because I was playing me. Like,
yes.
Do you know what I mean? It's very easy for me to play. Now, I'd love to be taken somewhere else. I'd love to fucking indulge myself into a Shakespearean role or a real something that I could really show me potential. Because I find that stuff that I've done in the past for television, I done a thing with John Connors there a while ago, and I was typecasted as a drug addict, and that. I'm good at doing that because I know how to do it. Like, you know, it's like someone saying to you, John, can you play the part of an electrician? It's like, I think I'm okay with that. But like, the play, we took it to Edinburgh. We got great reviews in Edinburgh. We got people then to come in one night that once every 4 years in Edinburgh, the World Theatre Service comes there and they go and see stuff. So we got people in from Australia. So by the end of Edinburgh, we had got the Paris Theatre Festival. We'd got the Norwegian Theatre Festival, which the one that we were going to, it doesn't get dark over there. It's bright for 24 hours a day. We'd been going to Australia, and we got booked for America, and then we had an Irish tour. This was all to happen last year. None of it happened.
Now, I think it will happen.
It will, we'll rebook for next year, yeah.
But I like the bit about the gorilla suit. Explain the bit about the gorilla suit.
Yeah, so basically the gorilla suit is kind of, as I says, you know, us been done as animals, and I'm in this suit for 90% through the fucking play, which is tough going in itself. And, you know, I get to peel layers of it off in certain places, which is kind of bringing it back. Yeah, he's not an animal. Like, underneath that fucking animal, you know, there's actually a person there, and there's somebody that's just lost himself somewhere along the line in life, and is trying to get back to where he was, like, and that's what my life has kind of been for me. My recovery has kind of brought me back from that animal way of using and seeing the world, and being that, you know, fuck everybody, to kind of coming back and growing as a different person, and being the person that I always wanted to be, like, you know.
And then with that rejection, you know, I was supposed to have someone on the podcast yesterday, and the person, hopefully I can get them on down the road, you know what I mean. But I said, the person I was getting onto the podcast, I said it to 10 people, and the 10 people said to me, the fuck are you getting them on the podcast for? They're X, Y and Z. And it's like, I'm thinking to myself then, you know, why am I getting them on the podcast? And I always ask myself, every decision I make, John, a little internal, what are your motives for this? So I ask myself, what are my motives for this? And my motives are, if they're pure, and my motives for getting this person on the podcast were for your reaction, because that is a person. They're acting out, they're hurt, and what they would do is they'll return to character because they're being rejected. And they'll run with the wrong crew because society's going, you're a scumbag. And then they'll go, well, do you know what? I'm going to do scumbag things. I'm going to hang around with scumbags. We don't. Whereas, your man bleeding, kicked the head off somebody outside Annabelle's. He's from Dublin 4, and he's a good brief, and blah, blah, blah. And everyone is guilty of it. I'm guilty of it. Everyone's guilty of it. So we all need to look at that in ourselves to go, why is that cunt a gorilla? Why are we looking at him like an animal? That's a person. And another friend of mine who, she's a fucking diamond, you know. She's a diamond. And she has put this thought into me mind. It's like, John, they're all hurt little boys. They're all hurt little boys. And what do hurt little boys? Hang around with other hurt little boys. And what do you get a load of hurt little boys together? To go out and hurt other people.
Hurt people.
Stopping that. You know what I mean? Or even shining, my little thing, shining the light on this to get you thinking, to go on, oh, I'll always, freedom of speech, I don't give a fuck what people think of me. And I do not give a fuck.
But that's the nail on the head there, John.
I don't give a fuck. I'll get whoever on.
Exactly.
I don't care.
But this is what I was just going to say while I was listening to you there. I worried for years what people thought about me. Right, exactly.
Yeah,
but that's where I'm at now.
Yeah.
I'm at that place in my life where, listen, I couldn't give a fuck.
I'm not going out of my way to hurt you.
Listen, John, come here and I'll tell you something, right? There's some people in life that I'm not going to say I don't like, that I probably wouldn't have an awful lot of time for, right? But push come to the shove, if that person needed me to help them or give them a dig out, it's principles before personalities. Like, so if someone's stuck in the fucking shit, do you know what I mean? Even if they're caught on the side of the road with a bleeding puncher in the toilet, as much as I'd say, I don't like him, come here, I'd like him to do for me what, you know, and I'd pull over and give him a fucking hand, like. So I don't get caught up in that, you know, he's a scumbag, she's this, she's that. It's come here, life is always going to be like that, do you know what I mean? And it's like when I done the play and I felt like that. I come out on the stage and I fucking just opened my whole torso and let everybody have a look in at who I actually was. And it was like what you just said there. I don't care what people think about me. This is who I was, and this is who I am now. So then moving on with the play, we go and we do the Dublin Fringe Festival, right? We win Best Production at the Dublin Fringe Festival, and I win Best Actor out of 650 people. And I'm standing up on a fucking stage, like, welled with emotion, going, this is fucking... This shouldn't be really happening. And I'm going, this is for the fucking people who people don't believe in and are fucking in a rut and are out there on the bollocks that, look, there's hope and you can fucking change. Do you know what I mean? And I had my little award and I'm going, this is for fucking them. And nobody in the room at all, out of all these fine actors that were actors, I never classed myself as an actor. It's probably something I've always carried, that low self-worth and low self-esteem. They stood there and they fucking clapped for me and they screamed, and I was like, it's like, fucking hell. Then we went on to the Irish Times Theatre Awards and we won Best Production at that as well. And I was like, wow, we've got something fucking special here. And people were saying, you need to take this play, you need to bring this play here, this play it needs to be shown. The reviews we got in the Irish Times, what people were saying about it was like, one guy in particular, we done a question and answers in the Axis in Ballymun. We sold out Ballymun. We could have sold out Ballymun twice, like. And your man goes, I've been to all your stuff. This fella said, really nice middle class kind of guy, really nice fella, not judging his class, came to see the play. He says, I have never seen a piece of theatre like this. He says, and by far, this is the best thing. He says, this, you need to travel with this thing. You need people around the world need to see this and see what's going on. And it was like, I felt to myself, this is what it's been fucking all about. Like, for me, my life getting just to there where I was at the moment, not just there, like, but all the things I done in life and all the shit that I caused to getting into recovery and coming through all these years to getting to the pinnacle of this and going, do you know what, I'm actually a fucking, not that I needed to say that to myself, but kind of going, I'm actually a good fucking person, like, do you know what I mean? And there's that stigma of me being, and I hate that fucking word, junkie. I got caught up with the wrong crowd, doing the wrong thing. A bag of fucking powder that size had so much power over me. I lost my self-worth, my self-belief, all my fucking morals. And then I got a second chance and the fucking gorilla suit come off and I dropped it on the ground. I was like, you know, I'm here, like, this is who I fucking am, like, take it or leave it, you know.
No, savage. It's, I rang you that day when I heard you on the radio. Remember, I rang you, I was over in Talon, I rang you on the radio, I was listening to you, and I was like, really, that was fucking savage. You know what I mean? It's about being, no matter middle class, upper class, whatever, don't be a victim. God helps those who help themselves. You know what I mean? And it's about not running with the crowd, no matter what crowd. If you're looking around and you're in a crowd and they're all fucking putting their watches up and throwing their car keys and all that. You're surrounded by a crowd of wankers.
Yeah.
Be your own
version,
person.
the best version of yourself. And it's like what I always say, John, look at, you get what you fucking settle for in life. You really do. I mean, the world is your oyster. Like, look, if you want to go into, and I'm not dissing, every job in the world has a purpose to what it's doing. Like, whether you're in cleaning the jacks in a fucking, in a supermarket or in a bleeding shopping centre, be the best that you can be at doing that job, because we need that. A society needs somebody to do that job. Do you know? So I tip me hat to anyone that does that and go, do you know what? Fair fucking play to you. You're out, you're doing it, you're getting an honest few quid and whatever. But I mean, if you want to do something else, or you want to be the supervisor of the person that does that job, there's nothing to stop you from doing that, only you. So don't get caught up in the fucking comfortableness of going, it's a job and it's a few quid. You can go and do what you want. I mean, I've got a personal friend of mine who I fucking admire and love, and she went to Trinity for 12 years and got a master's and a degree, and she's a barrister, and she's from the north inner city of Dublin. Like, and I kind of go, like that doesn't fucking show you, like, do you know what I mean? That there is hope for the hopeless cases, like, and I always say, look, failure isn't falling down, failure is fucking staying down. Like, if you've got the ability to grip something on the side of the wall and pull yourself back up on your feet, you're in with a chance, like, do you know what I mean? There's no one puts restrictions on you or fucking conditions on you, only you, like, you know? And
that is a great way, like, to end this podcast, because we talk about overcoming adversity, becoming better. No matter where you come from, no matter who you are, just embrace it. As David Goggins, get comfortable with being uncomfortable. You said to me this morning, I don't really want to get in. I don't either, but I fucking have to. I fucking have to.
Yeah, as you say, look, we swim so we don't drown.
That's it, man. You know. Yep. Give Willie a follow there on Instagram.
At Willie White 1.
At Willie White 1. He's on Twitter. Please do us a favour. Share this podcast around. It'll be up on Spotify. It'll be up on YouTube. Please go on to them platforms as well. Like, subscribe. Hope you liked it. I'm going back down to the beach now.
So am I.
A little chat with Willie, and we're meeting a couple of other friends of ours. So I'm going to prick around now, making this live, and you're going to get a little few added extras. Yep. Oh man, just a bit of yay. Okay.